Just think of consumers. You take your business classes and they say the purpose of production is to satisfy the consumers. Who are these consumers? There's no such thing as the consumers. There's the individuals who may be interested in buying specific goods in the marketplace. You have to discover who they are, what they're interested in buying, their price sensitivity. Well, if I lowered the price by 5%, how much more would they perhaps be willing to buy? How will they react to an advertising campaign, and so on. It's only discovered on the spot in that corner of the marketplace. And the same thing with your rivals. Well, the purpose of competition is to do better than the competitors. Of course, but who are these competitors? You only discover that in a corner, in a niche, in a part of the marketplace when you're actually competing. How will your rival respond if you do a new advertising campaign? If you put something on sale? If you innovate your product somehow? What will his response be that you have to then respond to? That can only be known and discovered, and is ever changing. Joe doesn't show up today at work. He's down with a bad cold. Seriously, he's just sick. He's flat on his back. No way he's going to come in for 2 or 3 days. But you can't just stop everything from happening in the business because Joe is sick. Who else in the workforce can fill in for Joe? It's not really his job most of the time, but he's done enough he can fill in for Joe for a couple of days. Hey, Sam, well, how do you know that? Okay, practically everyone has to ride a bike. You didn't raise your hand. You don't know how to ride a bike? Okay, now, I assume you learned to ride a bike when you were a little kid, like 4 or 5 years old, something like that? Okay, did your mom or dad hand you a little manual and say, here's the bicycle riding manual, read this and go ride a bike? Did they do that? No. No. Probably your mom or your dad or your brother or sister, somebody went out with you and they're going to teach you how to ride a bike, right? You get on the bike and they're running next to you and they pedal faster, turn the handle. Now, when you were on your own, what tended to happen the first time? You fell down, go boom. Okay. Oh, you little scratch on the knee. Oh. But you picked yourself up, you dusted yourself off, and you got back on the bicycle to start all over again, right? Okay, now how did you learn how to stay on the bike? By doing, didn't you? Your family member or your friend is sort of like trying to give you instructions, but how fast to pedal is enough? How much to turn the handlebars to keep it balanced when you feel that it's tipping to the left or the right? You only learn this in the doing. Now there's an immense amount of this type of knowledge of how to do things, but which is difficult to put into words or written form, to explain, articulate, and to pass on to others easily or at all. It's sort of like if you're having a problem with your car. Maybe you're like myself, you don't know anything about how an engine works. For a long time I thought it was a little propeller in the front that made it go like an airplane, but what do I know? So, you have a problem with your car, okay? So you take it into the mechanic says, open the hood, oh excuse me, you've had this British stuff, the bonnet. Open the bonnet, and turn on the, and so you do this, and the mechanic is listening, and you get out of the car, you're standing next to him, yeah, that's exactly what the problem is. What do you mean? Yeah, I can hear it. What do you mean you can hear it? All you hear is the engine. I've been working on these things for years, I know exactly what the problem is. Well, how does he know? And he can't really tell you. It's from the doing and the experience. It's sort of like osmosis. He's just absorbed it. But that's useful knowledge, is it not? The guy who knows how to fix your car, even if he can't put into words easily how he knows what the problem is, as long as he fixed the car. Now, Hayek's point here is that we have this division of labor with all these types of division of knowledge, the textbook or scientific knowledge, the localized knowledge of time and place, this tacit or inarticulate knowledge. How do we coordinate all this knowledge? How do we bring it to bear? So all in the society can benefit. So all in the society can benefit. So that you can be benefiting what people know on the other side of the world, which is where some of your goods and services come from. Just as you're contributing things that go to other parts of the world. And Hayek says that's the price system. It is not necessary to know all the other people in the world upon whom you're dependent for the things that you want to use or consume. It is sufficient if through the prices of the marketplace you convey to them that you want the good and the value you place upon it as reflected in the price you and others are willing to pay. And it is not necessary for you to know all the sellers of all the resources, raw materials, finished goods, and possible services that could be supplied by everyone else in this global economy. It is sufficient if they convey to you that they would be willing to provide this product or supply the service to you at this particular price. It is prices that coordinate. It is the sort of like the common denominator. Remember when you were in grammar school and you were learning basic arithmetic and you got to fractions? And the teacher said, well, here's, 8/16, 4/15, 7/22, add them. And then she taught you what? How to get a common denominator. Remember a common denominator. And once you had the common denominator, it was easy in the numerator, the top part, to do the arithmetic. But you needed to have a common denominator. That's what prices is the common denominator of the marketplace. It's not necessary for each and every one of us to know all the specific and intricate and specific details of all the other people in all the other parts of the world who know how to do all those other things upon which our goods and services are either directly or indirectly in some way dependent. It is sufficient for us to communicate with each other through the price system. And for people to be communicating who can produce it better, who can produce it cheaper, better than the other fellow by the price offers. The United States Constitution has a series of amendments. The first 10 are called the Bill of Rights, certain fundamental rights that it's presumed that citizens of the United States have. And the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution talks about freedom of speech and the freedom of the press, freedom of religion, freedom of association. I've often thought that one of the better defenses that should be made of an open competitive price system is that it should be protected by the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Why? Freedom of speech. That's what you do through prices. You're communicating to others. You're telling them what you want and the value you place upon it. It's those others telling you what they could produce and the price at which they think they could provide it to you and stay in business. Prices are a vast communications network, without which we could not have the global system of division of labor and coordinated production that we take for granted, that assures that the food is in the stores, that the clothes are available in the stores, that the cars are in the showroom, that the gasoline is delivered, that the light bulbs are manufactured. Just think of this library. This library has been made with resources, raw materials, ingredients, tools, equipment, manufacturing skills and expertise that have, without a doubt, combined knowledge, abilities, and resources from many different parts of the world. This didn't all just get produced here in the Bahamas. Their ability to make this building was due partly to the ability of people to communicate, interact, and supply what others wanted to demand through the pricing mechanism of a free economy. Without prices, it's sort of like putting a gag in people's mouth. You can't hear what they have to say. And people have to tell you what they have to say, just as you need to tell them things, so you can each talk, communicate, to share necessary information on the supply and the demand sides of the market, so that all that we're doing can come together for coordination, so that everything occurs out there without that they can search for gains from trade, that they are allowed to interact with each other in market, that they are free to compete on both the supply side and the demand side, and that they can communicate with each other through the price system. It is what gives orientation and coordination and smooth harmony of what each and all of us are doing in this global economy, without which we could not benefit from what others can do whom we know nothing about. Thank you.